I certainly know that a big topic of focus, say, in the last few years has been around supply chain issues, but another really critical part of our industry that has been needing to be rectified, or in some cases has, is that of contracts between airlines and their staff in critical roles from pilots right down to ground crew and everyone else in between. Air Canada now is reportedly preparing for an almost entire shutdown of its operations, as roadblocks are continuing to hinder their ability to secure a new deal with pilot unions, or unions that are representing their pilots. While talks are reaching an impasse, Canada's flag carrier is now facing enormous repercussions, with customers set to be affected the most, not just across the mainline brand, but also low-cost divisions, and for the likes of Air Canada Rouge. In recent years, unions have exerted considerable effort to seek better wages and working conditions for the employees that they represent of respective airlines right around the world. Several airlines have been able to rectify contracts and eliminate prospective strike action, with the only negative really for the business in this sense being overall expenses increasing, and this something they're needing to now navigate. However, for the goodwill of its employee base, it is ultimately a positive all round and something the airline will work at eventually getting past. However, Air Canada sees the demands made by pilots about their pay as unrealistic at this stage, therefore believing that a shutdown may come as early as this weekend at the time of recording. This is a very fluid situation. It can change at an hour notice, and if there are any further developments that come out after this video is published, I will do my very best to get them to you as soon as possible. But at this point, Air Canada is already beginning to plan how its business will look over the weekend and even the following week. If Air Canada were to halt its operations, its business would look very different, as I'm sure you can imagine, from how it is today. Despite all the planning that would be done to try and mitigate the impact, the harsh reality is that the Air Canada group would be, no matter how you look at it, in disarray. Furthermore, if a shutdown were to occur, Air Canada wouldn't just feel the effect for a few days. The knock-on ramifications would be absolutely huge, with recovery taking some time, and you've also got to consider that its financials will take a steep hit too. Air Canada pilots have seen the developments of neighbouring counterparts in the United States, who have all enjoyed pay increases, and they believe that they're entitled to equal or better conditions because of this, and neighbouring airlines in the US aren't the only ones that have seen contracts rectified. You could extend this to Europe and other key markets. Those signatures across the border, though, have been the ones that have made headlines right around the world and been primarily the example used of what pilots at other airlines should be able to fetch. However, for some companies, such as Air Canada, they've felt maybe not as willing to comply with the demands that have been laid out. Now, they say that they're more than happy to cooperate and reach an agreement, but what the unions are requesting is not attainable. Onlookers argue that Air Canada needs to prioritise the demands laid out by its pilots to ensure they get the rectified contracts that, I'll add, they deserve. If Air Canada cannot sort these out, the company risks being thrown into absolute turmoil, and you'd also argue being painted as the nation's laughingstock. I've had the pleasure of visiting Canada on a many occasion and have people I'm very close with over there. The airline, to most, is already considered a laughingstock, but to see something like this occur would just be an embarrassment. Again, I'll add that Air Canada does not believe reaching an agreement with its pilots is impossible by any means, but the two certainly appear to be quite far apart in terms of reaching such agreement. Typically, strike action, in this case an almost full shutdown, occurs, pressures begin to rise, and the airline in question may very well bow to demands to ensure stability can be achieved across the long term, and obviously prevent a full shutdown from occurring, even likely to just be on a temporary basis. It is definitely seen as a last resort. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. I know we don't know the full situation, but do you believe Air Canada needs to come to the table, or do you believe pilots need to back off a little bit? Let me know. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you same place, same time tomorrow. And we'll fly.